There was a moment in football history when almost everyone believed the same thing. Not hoped, not guessed, believed. That Neymar Jr. would become the greatest footballer of his generation. Not just another Brazilian superstar. Not just another highlight machine. Not simply the next global icon. He was supposed to be the player who would inherit football itself. The man who would eventually sit alone at the top once Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo stepped aside. For years, it felt inevitable. The talent was too obvious. The flair was too natural. The confidence was too real. Everything about Neymar screamed destiny. He had the imagination of Ronaldinho, the explosiveness of a young Cristiano Ronaldo, the technical elegance of Messi, and something even rarer than talent. He had aura. Even before he played a single minute in Europe, the world already knew his name. He was football's chosen prince, Brazil's next king, the heir to Pelé, the future face of the sport. And yet, somehow, it never happened. Today, Neymar is remembered as one of the most gifted players football has ever seen, but also as one of its biggest unanswered questions. A career filled with brilliance, but haunted by the feeling that it should have been even greater. So what happened? How did a player who once looked destined to dominate world football become football's greatest what if? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning, long before the injuries, before Paris, before Barcelona, back to Brazil, back to where the dream began. Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. was born on February 5, 1992 in Mogi das Cruzes, São Paulo. Football was already in his blood. His father, Neymar Santos Sr., had been a footballer himself. Not a superstar, not a legend, but enough to recognize genius when he saw it. And he saw it early, very early. Neymar wasn't just another talented kid. He was different. Some children learn football. Others understand football. Neymar seemed to feel football. Every movement looked instinctive. Every touch carried imagination. He played like someone inventing the sport as he went. At local futsal games, defenders couldn't get near him. He danced through players with absurd confidence. No fear, no hesitation, just joy. Pure football joy. And that joy became impossible to ignore. At just 11 years old, Neymar joined Santos' youth academy. And almost immediately, whispers began. Coaches talked. Players noticed. Fans started hearing stories. Brazil might have found its next phenomenon. This wasn't normal hype. Brazil had seen wonder kids before, but Neymar felt different. He carried that rare electricity that only the truly special players have, the kind that makes people stop whatever they're doing just to watch. And when clips of him started appearing online, the hype exploded. Teenagers in Europe were watching a kid in Brazil humiliate defenders with impossible dribbles. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. The comparisons came quickly. Ronaldinho, Robinho, Pelé, the next Brazilian genius. And when he made his professional debut for Santos at just 17 years old, the world finally got to see if the hype was real. It was. If anything, the reality was even better. Neymar didn't arrive cautiously. He arrived like a storm. Goals, assists, elasticos, nutmegs, skills that looked disrespectful. He played with swagger, the kind of confidence that defenders hated and fans adored. He wasn't trying to survive professional football. He was enjoying it. Playing with freedom, most veterans lose by their mid-20s, and Brazil fell in love instantly. Football in Brazil had been searching for magic again, searching for beauty, for identity, for the samba spirit that once defined Brazilian football. And Neymar looked like the answer. By his early 20s, he was already carrying impossible expectations. He wasn't just expected to succeed. He was expected to restore Brazilian greatness. And then Europe came calling. Every giant wanted him. Real Madrid pushed hard. Chelsea wanted him. Manchester City were interested, but in 2013, Neymar chose Barcelona, and on paper, it was perfect. He would learn beside the greatest player in the world, Lionel Messi, alongside one of football's deadliest strikers, Luis Suarez. Together, they would form one of football's most terrifying attacking trios, MSN Messi, Suarez, Neymar. A front three so devastating that defenders entered matches already defeated. At first, Neymar struggled. The expectations were crushing. The spotlight was blinding. And playing beside Messi came with its own challenge. No matter how brilliant Neymar was, this was Messi's world. Barcelona was Messi's kingdom. Everyone knew it, including Neymar. Still, Neymar adapted. He learned. He evolved. And slowly, he became extraordinary. Then came 2015, the season that looked like the beginning of his takeover. Barcelona won everything: La Liga, Copa del Rey, the Champions League. And Neymar was sensational. He scored in the Champions League final.
الكرة مرتدة نيمار الثالث لبرشلونة نيمار تمريرة بيدرو يحاول بيدرو لنيمار
He was fearless, decisive, world-class. For many people, this was it. The passing of the torch had begun. Messi and Ronaldo still ruled football, but Neymar was next. The Ballon d'Or was only a matter of time, or so everyone thought. Because there was one problem. Messi wasn't fading. He was still Messi, still the center of everything, still the best. And Neymar knew something important. As long as he stayed in Barcelona, he would always be second. No matter how brilliant he became, the world would still see him as Messi's teammate, Messi's apprentice, Messi's supporting actor. And for a player destined to be number one, that was unbearable. So in 2017, he made the decision that changed everything. Paris Saint-Germain activated Neymar's release clause, €222 million, the biggest transfer in football history. A number so absurd it felt unreal. The football world stopped. This wasn't just a transfer, it was a declaration of war. Neymar was leaving Messi's shadow. He was choosing his own throne. This was supposed to be his era, his club, his legacy. And at first, it looked genius. He was electric, destroying League One defenders, scoring constantly, producing magic every week. For moments, it looked like the world was finally seeing Neymar unleashed. Then, the injuries began, and they never truly stopped. An ankle injury, a foot fracture, muscle problems, recovery setbacks, again and again and again. Cruelly, they always seem to arrive at the worst possible time, right before Champions League knockout stages. The exact moments built for greatness, the exact nights where Ballon d'Or winners are made. And while Neymar watched from the sidelines, football moved forward without him. The criticism intensified. Questions turned into accusations. Was he focused enough? Was he disciplined enough? Did he truly want greatness? The media attacked his lifestyle, the parties, the vacations, the celebrity culture, the birthdays, the poker tournaments. Every injury became a scandal. Every absence became suspicion, fair or unfair. The narrative was changing. Neymar was no longer football's future king. He was becoming football's greatest disappointment. And perhaps the cruelest twist of Neymar's career was this. He had left Barcelona to escape Lionel Messi's shadow. He wanted his own kingdom, his own spotlight, his own era. But football had other plans. Because while Neymar was fighting injuries, another star was rising inside the very club he had joined to lead, Kylian Mbappé. At first, Mbappé was simply the young prodigy, the explosive teenager with frightening speed and enormous potential. Neymar was still the superstar, still the global icon, still the player expected to carry PSG to European glory. But slowly, everything began to change. Mbappé got stronger, faster, more clinical, more decisive, and most importantly, more available. While Neymar missed crucial months through injury, Mbappé kept playing, kept scoring, kept delivering, and football never waits for anyone. The spotlight Neymar had come to Paris to claim for himself was slowly shifting toward the younger Frenchman. The club's future was no longer built around Neymar. It was built around Mbappé. The fans felt it, the media saw it, and Neymar knew it. The same thing he had feared at Barcelona was happening all over again, except this time it was even more painful. Because he had chosen this. He had left Messi's shadow to build his own legacy, only to find himself standing in someone else's. And this shadow felt different. Messi's greatness had inspired him. Mbappé's rise replaced him. It was the ultimate football irony. The man who once looked destined to inherit the game was now watching a new generation take it from him in real time. By the time Messi himself arrived in Paris in 2021, the story was already complete. Neymar was no longer the future of football. That title had already passed to Mbappé. And perhaps that was the hardest truth of all. Neymar had spent his career waiting for the moment football would belong to him. But when that moment finally came, football had already chosen someone else. And that's what makes his story so tragic. Because the talent never disappeared. Not once. Even during difficult years at PSG. The genius was still there. The impossible dribbles. The outrageous assists. The imagination no one else could replicate. On his best nights, Neymar still looked untouchable. Still looked capable of anything. Still looked like the player we once believed would dominate football. But greatness is not about moments. It's about permanence. It's about showing up every season, every month, every decisive night, again and again and again. That's what separated Messi and Ronaldo. Not just talent, obsession, relentless obsession, an almost unhealthy need to remain the best. That hunger defined them. And maybe that was the one thing Neymar never fully had. He loved football. That was obvious. But Messi and Ronaldo didn't just love football. They needed it. It consumed them. It defined every decision they made. For Neymar, football sometimes felt like part of life. For Messi and Ronaldo, football was life. And in elite sport, that difference changes everything. Then came the move to Al Hilal. And for many fans, that was the final signal. The dream was officially over. The player once expected to rule football had left Europe without ever becoming its king. And maybe that hurts because we all saw what was possible. This wasn't wasted hype. This wasn't media exaggeration. Neymar really was that talented. Some players become legends through hard work. Neymar had the kind of natural ability that appears once in a generation. Some even say his raw talent surpassed Cristiano Ronaldo. Some believe he was the closest thing to Messi football ever produced. And maybe they're right. But talent alone doesn't guarantee immortality. Football history is full of gifted players. What separates legends is sacrifice, consistency, discipline, the willingness to suffer for greatness. And perhaps Neymar never fully embraced that cost. Still, calling Neymar a failure would be absurd. His career is extraordinary. Champions League winner, league titles, international trophies, hundreds of goals, hundreds of assists, millions of fans across the world, a cultural icon, a football artist, a player who inspired an entire generation to fall in love with flair again. That matters. That legacy is real. But football will always ask the same question. What if? What if he stayed at Barcelona? What if injuries never happened? What if he had matched his gifts with total obsession? Would he have won the Ballon d'Or? Would he have dominated his era? Would he have become the greatest player of his generation? We will never know. And maybe that's why Neymar's story feels so painful. Because he didn't fail from lack of talent. He failed because he was capable of even more. And sometimes, that is football's greatest tragedy of all.